Here's another example of where we see a lot of landlords miss an important red flag, and it has to deal with, let's say you've had a tenant in the property. They've been a good tenant for 9 months so far. They approach you and say, hey, we'd like to renew our lease. Can we do that? We don't want to move. We love the property. We love working with you. You're a great landlord, yada, yada, yada. If you're a landlord, that's great. You're just about jumping for joy, slapping your wallet, going, Yahoo, I've got another tenant for another 12 months. Easy. Mama can go buy some more fun stuff, right?
Right.
You should actually think about that as a small red flag. Here's why. Tenants have figured out, especially some of the smarter, what I call professional tenants, who know how to work the system, that once they get into a property, they know landlords are just like the rest of us. We want to try to do the minimum amount of work for the maximum amount of payout. So they know that as long as they pay their rent, don't cause too many troubles, the landlord's really not going to come around too much and ask for too much as long as the rent check keeps coming and it keeps clearing, right?
Right.
Well, one of the protocols that we put into place a number of years ago was when one of our tenants asks us, can we renew their lease for another year, we do two things. One, we're checking the market rate to see if we need to increase their rental rate, and also the cost associated with that property to see if we've had any cost creep in the last 12 months, especially taxes and insurance. But the second part is we require all our tenants to reapply for the property. And here's an important point I want to make. Just like with everybody else, their financial situation could have swung wildly since you first screened them with their credit score and criminal background 9 months ago to today. They could have lost a job, and they may not have told you about it, or they could have had a major pay cut, or their spouse may have lost a job. So you want to rescreen your tenants to find out, has their credit score materially changed? Has their income materially changed? Have they been arrested for a felony or sex offense lately? If you just rubber stamp the lease renewal, you will get it, and it will bite you in the butt during that second term of the lease every single time. It does not vary. So get updated information. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm sorry, do you do that after every year or every 2 years? In other words, do you do a 1 year lease and then you reevaluate at the end of every single year, or would you do a 2 year lease and reevaluate at the end of the second year?
We would do it per term. So if they did a 1 year lease, we'd reevaluate it at the end of the 1 year lease. If they did a 2 year lease, we wouldn't reevaluate until the end of the second year, because when we're doing a 2 year lease, we're taking that into account, and we're taking both the operational expense and the revenue generating expense and the risk profile at the beginning of the 2 years. Same thing at the beginning of a 1 year. And typically on a 2 year lease, our landlords have the same rent each year. If it's beyond 2 years, we recommend that our investors and our landlords bump up the third year, because otherwise their third year NOI is going to be much less because of cost creep. 3 years out is just too far to predict, so we assume costs will be rising materially. But at a 1 year lease, we'll have them do it. We'll have them do it at the end of 1 year.
Do you charge more for a 1 year lease than you do a 2 year lease to account for the increased operating costs in the second year of a 2 year lease?
Typically not. No, typically not. Most of the time, our landlords are getting premium or at market rent, and so they're going to know with a high level of or a low level of variance what their operating expenses are going to be for those 2 years. So sometimes the second year net operating income might be lower, but it's only going to be lower by a few percentage points, maybe 2 or 3%, which is not enough to worry about it. That more than the fact that they're not going to have a vacancy period whatsoever, they're not going to have a releasing fee, they're not going to have any reconditioning costs such as cleaning carpet, drywall, paint touch-up, or carpet replacement. That second year more than mitigates the issue of having a loss of 2 or 3% net profit second year.
So it averages out.
Oh yeah, it actually more than averages out. The landlord is always ahead by doing a multi-year lease.